All right. Aisha Tanzeem, thank you so much for being part of Open Global. I'm honored to be speaking to you. Another Aisha, somebody who I really look up to, your communications, your community development, the work you've done with leadership, particularly with Open Global, and also just we're proud of having a Pakistani American like you here.
Do you want to restart it again? Because I just joined Open
That's okay.
recently.
That's okay.
So
Don't worry
you don't
about
want
it.
to, I've not done any work with them.
That's okay. That's okay. I mean, I think what I'm trying to refer to is the fact that when you come in with all your expertise
Okay.
to it. Yeah.
Okay.
So, but thanks for the humility there. Aisha, what are your thoughts about what we are trying to do here at Open Global? What are some of the things that you feel are going well? What are some of the things you'd like to see accelerate?
So first of all, oh my God, today was the first evening, and I am blown away. I have no other words to say. Um, Mr. Aslam Khan, his journey, what an amazing man. And then
How real?
How real! Oh my God! And then you come from a world, especially if you go to Pakistan and you go to move in these elite cliquish circles where everybody's from convent or Karachi grammar and
HSN, let's not
H.
forget them.
Oh my God,
Don't get me
HSN!
started.
Please, please, please! And I have cousins who went to HSN. So I have cousins who went to HSN, so I know what the whole HSN thing is about. And you and people carrying designer bags and people
Wearing their status on their sleeve all the time.
and in a country where the economy is collapsing and the poor people are struggling to pay their bills because their monthly expenses are now far beyond what they're earning, going to, because this elite designer had an opening, it is full and people are walking out of there spending thousands of dollars on one outfit. And then you see a man who's so real, and oh my God,
Yes.
no brand names, no nothing.
Also does not hide the fact that, he was talking about how you had to wash one uniform over and over again.
Over and over again. I had only one pair of clothes and one shoes. So that, and then the other thing that blew my mind was that you do think of corporate greed, right? When you think of rich people, especially when you look at it from the perspective of lower middle class or poor people or even the middle class, you think of corporations and you think of them as sucking the blood from whoever they can suck it from, making money from wherever they can make it from. And here you have an entrepreneur owns 100+ companies, stores, hugely successful. He does it by putting people first.
At this age, which means this has been his lifelong, what you are in your old age, you've been all your life.
Exactly. And I have been around as a journalist, rich people, successful people. I have heard people say greed is good. And I've like,
we have Mr. Vance saying empathy is terrible.
Yeah.
On air.
Empathy is terrible, greed is good. And you start thinking about, oh my God, maybe you can only become rich if you trample upon other people and take advantage of them. And we hear horror stories about, like, for example, companies trying to take advantage of their customers. And then you hear the story where a man is saying, you put people first and you become successful in business. And all of a sudden a light bulb goes off. You're like, oh my God.
And not just people first. It's like he does not take disrespect. He does not dish it out. That whole thing about being Pakistani, Muslim, not coming from a place of good repute, and then building yourself from up there, having that thick skin to then prove to everyone, he's serving burgers to the people who insulted him.
Yeah.
Right. So what a turnaround story. What do you think Pakistanis overall do wrong that they don't get here to this point? Do you think it's the limitation of...
Are you talking about Pakistanis in America or Pakistanis in Pakistan?
I'm talking about both. Pakistanis from a mindset perspective I can understand that in Pakistan, poverty itself is a cycle for a particular reason. There's no way you're getting out of it unless, you have enabled areas of getting out of it, like education, like access to capital, stuff like that. So what are we doing wrong there? And then what are we doing wrong here as Pakistani Americans, where there is no challenge with access to capital, there is no challenge to education. We're coming here pretty educated, and in fact, we've, in so many ways, like other immigrants, built this country.
So, since I'm a journalist and I keep getting pulled back to this political discussion, which I try to avoid because there's so much else
But
out
Aisha,
there to talk
everything is
about.
politics.
Everything is politics. You cannot escape the fact of elite capture of Pakistani economy and elite capture of Pakistani society, even today, when everybody who's earning their living by getting a, tankhadar tabka, people who are getting a paycheck every month, they're paying up to 45%, and I would argue maybe 50% because there's GST and all these other things.
You're basically describing my life.
Yes, exactly.
All right. In Pakistan, just a couple of months ago, I was giving about 50% to the government. As a woman who's raising girls, I would have spent on education and health. Instead,
Yes.
I am, by the way, 1.7 million people who pay taxes.
And out of
270 million people, out of people who really,
yes,
should be.
and please understand, the people who really make money do not really pay a lot of taxes.
The opposite.
So every time I talk to people in Pakistan, Pakistani economy has gone all cash almost, because the taxes are rising, because the government does not expand the tax base, because there's no political will to do it, because those who are supposed to make these decisions are the stakeholders in the, we are not going to pay the taxes because then it's taxes on us and our family and our friends and our tribe of traders, or
real, that is extractive elite capture, what you've described. 100%, and I've been a victim of that, so I can definitely attest to it. That politics is really ugly, it's really dirty, but we do see people come out on the other side.
So that's what I'm saying. So the other thing that we don't the other thing that we do really wrong in Pakistan, and I'll tell you one anecdote, is, and this is how we divide our society. So I remember I was a young woman, and I was used to be a Girl Scout, or as we used to call Girl Guides in Pakistan, and I used to go off to these camps. And I remember, one such camp, it was in Islamabad or Murray or one such place, and we would always have like this big hall, and we would all sleep in our own sleeping bags, and it was a communal kind of thing. And here I am talking to some young women, girls that I became friends with, and then here's this group of other young women and girls who are apparently, coming from an area where, or going to a school where the English is not so good. And one of them came up to me, and I never forget that moment. And she was angry at the fact that we could speak English and she could not. And that was the day when I realized, and she told me about all that, we were keeping from her, or the country was keeping from her. And I wasn't keeping it. It wasn't my fault that I could speak English, but I could feel the pain in her voice.
Yeah, the polarity, because that's the one language that will give you upward mobility.
Exactly. And the fact that everybody cannot speak it, and that's still the language of CSS, which is like, if you don't have money, that's the language of the judiciary, and that's the
redlining, where there are opportunities for everyone, but then there are some people that cannot reach it because of language barrier, because of gentrification, because of access to transportation or health or that kind of thing.
And I think, and I have 2 or 3 ideas that I think can change Pakistani society. One is my own. The other is plagiarized from a really respectful person who has passed away, Dr. Mehdi Hassan.
He used to be at LUMS, right?
I'm trying to remember if he was, and I'm trying to remember if I'm mixing him up with Dr. Mubashir Hassan, but one of those giants I apologize to him if I'm mixing his name up with someone.
I think he would be very honored that we're keeping his ideas alive, regardless
Yes.
of who it's coming from.
Yes.
Yeah.
So the idea that in Pakistan, a couple of things need to happen. So one is, you want to improve health and education, make sure that you pass a law that says if you are a bureaucrat, a diplomat, uh, an elected official, if you're in government in any form, either national or state or local, your kids will go to a government hospital and go to a government school. And I kid you not, the same government schools that don't work, within 1 to 2 years, they will have the funding they need, they will have the teachers they need, and those schools used to work fine before. It's a myth that government schools in Pakistan cannot work. They can absolutely work. It wasn't just one generation ago. These same schools were producing giants of literature, of leadership, and everything. You just make sure that the right resources get there. You make sure that everybody in civil or military bureaucracy, elected officials, anybody,
that they basically have to stay
they need
long.
to have stakes in
Yeah.
the system. They need to
skin
have
in the
stakes
game.
and skin in the game.
And also, when their children will no longer have access to the first world resources, you're right, and they're right that the resources will come to them.
They will come to them,
Yeah.
and through them to everybody else.
Yeah.
And the second idea, so that's the health and the same health and education. So this is an idea from a giant that I'm plagiarizing.
I mean, your elite institutions are really the DMG, the army, These institutions, kids never study in government places.
Yes.
Never, ever. They have their own tracks. They have their own private tracks. So that's one.
That's one. And then the next idea is my own, unless somebody else has out there first, but I'm just saying that it came to me myself. And I just think that we should develop, with all these brilliant minds, a way to use AI to have the best curriculum in the world translated in the most local language possible for each child. In every village has a dialect. So if forget English, even Urdu is not a national language. I'm not saying don't teach English and don't teach Urdu. I'm all about teaching multiple
Local languages. Yeah.
Teach English, teach Urdu, but each child should be able to get educated in the language that he or she speaks at home. And it is not difficult to do. AI is making all of this so easy.
The one challenge I would ask you as a follow-up question is, because there was a very big debate on Urduizing most of the curriculum, the challenge came in the technical languages when you go to the higher classes, because most of the body of work in, say, physics or biology is English. And so remember that girl that you were talking about who had a lot of resentment? What will eventually happen is that at a certain point, they will have this valley of death where they will not be perhaps able to do that knowledge transfer from their own language to English because the body of work is technically in English.
No, I'm not saying. So this is the thing. They say that if you master your own language,
you can learn another. Okay.
So you teach English as a second, you teach Urdu as a second language, you teach English as a third language. But what you don't want is these kids to not understand what they're learning.
Yeah,
which is what. So I'll give you one example. I went to Kinnaird College. At the time when you didn't have, LUMS was just starting, didn't have a master's program, Beacon House University wasn't there. So Kinnaird at the time was the premier college, which meant that everybody who topped in the matriculation, etc., the toppers of Punjab and the best girls from the country went to Kinnaird. Do you know what used to happen? On the day that you had the English language exam, if you guys remember, they used to have essays in the exam. Very simple. Here you talk to a child, that'd be like 5-paragraph essay. You start, the first paragraph explaining the concept, the next 3 explaining, explaining the concept, and the last paragraph wrapping it up. Those young women who topped, number 1 in board, number 2 in board, number 3 in board, in the morning, they would be walking back and forth with their notebooks, trying to rote learn the essays. Ratta. They did not know how to write in English.
So pedagogical skills, the ability to knowledge transfer did not exist.
Exactly.
Right? So
they were not learning. They were not learning. All they were learning was memorizing. And so what I'm saying is teach children in a language where they can learn.
Go
and
local.
Then go local and then teach them the language.
Got it.
And also with AI, you know, transferring knowledge from one language to another is going to become
And almost
so
everyone
much
has a
easier.
phone now.
Everyone has a phone, and you know, you can talk to ChatGPT in English and it'll give you an answer in Urdu and vice versa. And I'm sure it can do that with local languages too.
Yeah. AI is a bit biased. It doesn't index enough on, say, Balochi
Yes,
or
absolutely.
Hindko. But that's where the government can come in and you know, fill that gap.
Or one of these brilliant, like one of us can come in.
Yeah.
All it needs is volunteers who say, we are going to teach this AI a new language, and it's only going to take the AI a couple of weeks to learn a new language.
That's so true. That's so true. And reminds me of Noam Chomsky and him. His key thesis was, if you want to wipe off a people, wipe off their language. And with AI, if it doesn't learn these existing languages soon, in three generations are going to go
wiped out.
Yeah, and they're people.
Yeah.
Because with that, with their culture.
And it's coming from someone who's actually scared of AI, because I do think robots are going to take over the world. But that's my other crazy theory.
What's the third one? The third.
No, so that's what I'm saying. Health, education, make the people, lawmakers, bureaucrats, diplomats all send their kids to public schools and public hospitals. And the third is education. Give it in a language that people can understand and learn, because
and not
I have
be intimidated by it.
Not be intimidated. And also I have seen people, and it breaks my heart, I have seen young women, you know, including this one child. She was the daughter of the woman who cooked for my mother, and so she's been coming to our house since she was a little girl. She put in a lot of hard work, but she went to a school where the system, the standard of education was so low that despite her hard work, she didn't have the teachers who could teach her. So yeah, we need to solve that problem.
Yeah. What's the one thing, you know, that you would like to bring to Pakistani Americans? Would you like to bring more organization, more political astuteness, more reputation lift? What's some of the things that you feel like because today's event was so stellar, and Pakistanis can do it. You know, this is a myth that, oh, we don't work well in groups, we work well in individual settings. I've seen it work well today.
Yes.
So what do you think would be one silver bullet that you'd like to?
I think a lot more organization. I think a lot more participation in American politics.
We had a senator today, I think.
We had a senator today. We had a lieutenant governor today. A lot more participation in their own local communities in US, because that's how you become part of the fabric of society where you're living, and that's how you become important, because you hook your arms with the person next to you, the person recognizes you, you reach out to them in their hour of need and they remember you. And that's how you become able to make an impact, a much larger impact. We have a lot of people, you know, the people we are seeing here are very entrenched in the American fabric, but we also have a lot of people who spend most of their time
insulated their own
and still watching, you know, only, I'm not saying it's bad, we should know what's going on in our home country, but don't only know what's going on in our home country. Know what's happening in your community, in your country. America is now your country. This is the country of your children.
Yeah. Be rooted, but it's almost a sort of like tassub or some kind of like prejudice where you kind of have a chip on your shoulder being like, our culture is superior, and then you don't connect with the people who you are benefiting from.
Exactly.
You know, so this sort of insulation of, oh, we'll stick with Pakistanis, with Muslims, you know. And even here, we you know, one of my the mosques that I went to, the Pakistanis pray on the side, you know, the African from Somalia pray on the other side. This is the one melting pot, and you're creating your own silos, you know.
Right.
So I think that we also need to check our sense of prejudice, and then not complain when we get prejudiced against.
Exactly. And that's we're hypocritical. we complain about stuff that we carry out in our own lives, also in our own country. So we do it there and we also do it here. But then when someone does it to us, it doesn't feel too
We
good.
cry foul.
We cry foul.
Yeah.
We cry foul.
Aisha, it's been a pleasure to talk to you. I think this has been sociology, anthropology, philosophy, politics, media, and also wisdom. Thank you so much for being here.
It's an honor to talk to you. Thank you.